so good to see you.
It is so great to see you. I'm so just ecstatic that we've been able to stay in contact and now the world can see what you're working on.
I know. Thank you for staying in contact with me too. Really.
Thank you so much. I am just super blessed, and our interaction has, just had a huge ripple effect in my life and the lives of other journalists. So, I appreciate you and thank you so much. So you've been a very busy woman, directing a movie, producing a health and wellness brand, flirting with your man in COVID. I love to see it.
Yes.
How has the creation of, before we even get into, today, how has the creation of Respin, that health and wellness, helped you with playing Jackie Justice?
Well, what I've learned through all of these things is that as a woman and as a woman of color, I'm far more capable than anybody might have ever thought I was. I'm more capable than I imagined I could be. And so the more I bite off or I take on these new roles and I try these new things and I dream these big dreams and I'm able to see them through, it's so empowering to just know that we can really do whatever we want to do. We're powerful. And I think as Black women, we've always had to fight for every single thing we have. It's just it's become part of our nature to have to fight. But the good news is we absolutely can. We're always up for the task. And all of these things have made me realize I'm always up for the task and I'm stronger than I even think I am.
Yeah. I mean, you've definitely put your body over the last 3 years through such mental and probably spiritual and mind, you've gone through this journey to be able to be in that fit mindset and just your physical body. I was a D1 athlete, but I could never, as I was watching the fight scenes, I was just like, whoo, they were amazing. How was the experience training with Valentino Shevchenko?
That was, one of the joys of my life. How often will any of us get to train and learn from a champion? She's the current champion at the top of her game. Usually when fighters go and decide to do movies, they're retired and, they're on to this next phase of their life. She's in the height of her career. So, to learn from her, she upped my game. She pushed me farther than I thought I could go. I learned so much in such a short period of time, having the benefit of being able to work with her. And I'm forever grateful. It's an experience I will never forget.
So it's been 3 years since, we shared a moment that was a very real moment that basically amplified the conversation of Black lives and Black voices matter. So here you are, and you have created history with a all-female hip hop and R&B soundtrack, just amplifying the voices of the industry right now. How did that come about?
Well, when I started to reimagine the story, because it was written for a white Irish Catholic girl, when I started to reimagine the character, I also had to reimagine the world. And hip hop, has been the soundtrack of, our lives. I remember when hip hop, was born, so many people thought it was going to be something that came and went. But look, it shapes so much of the music that we hear today, right? And so I knew that this is a time for women to come forth, for us to step into that light. This was a very female project from writer, director, star. The composer was Asuka Matsumiya, a Japanese, woman. So it was very female heavy. So it seemed only fitting that the soundtrack should be all female, and to have it be all hip hop was something that has never been done before. And I like doing that. I like creating, new avenues and doing things that have never been done.
Yes, I loved it because it just added to the whole vibe of the whole movie. So when you are training, when you have your Respin weights and your fitness Fridays and getting ready for these fighting scenes, who is primarily in your headphones? Are you Megan Thee Stallion, Big Lotto? Like, what's your vibe to get you pumped?
I was listening to all of them. That's why they're on the soundtrack. Cardi, City Girls, Baby Tate, Sweetie, all of them. Young M.A. is, whoa, I love it. Just all of them. All these girls were fueling me along the way, and some gospel. I was listening to a lot of gospel music, sort of in tandem with my hip hop. Tasha Cobb on all day.
Okay. That's awesome. So just to dive more into the film. So this film touched on a lot of topics that could be known as being kind of taboo in our culture, domestic violence, sexual assault, and not really being, not coming out to tell your family that until much older, right? Black lesbians, things that can be taboo. Were you kind of scared or worried about how, why was that so important to put those topics in this film?
I wasn't scared. I'm still not scared. I think that it was important to me just to be authentic and tell a truth that I knew to be true. And I know that, abuse has affected so many women. We've been marginalized and we've been abused physically, mentally. There's no secret in that. So for me, I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to show the dynamic between, mothers and daughters. I wanted to talk about abuse from, that women we suffer in our relationships. And I wanted to, talk about, finding love, however you find love. And if that means that my character had to find comfort and love in another woman, that's okay too. Yeah. Love is love. And I wanted to explore those topics and bring some light in sometimes dark places.
Yes, for sure. And so I know no spoilers, and speaking on finding love in that scene, I know, it was a spicy, shocking scene real quick when it came up. Is it at this stage in the game for you as a vet in the industry, is it still uncomfortable having those scenes of intimacy on camera?
I think it always is, and it always will be. It's just not natural to be in that position with someone you barely know, that you're really not in love with or in a love relationship with. But I can tell you this, being the person behind the camera and in charge of shooting those scenes made them less stressful for me. I can tell you that. Having had to do these scenes with not being behind the camera and having to trust those behind the camera to do right by me and the other performers has always been stressful. So I felt less stressed, and I really worked hard to make sure that the actors that were in those scenes with me trusted me, and I could make them feel as free as I possibly could, and letting them know that they could trust me, that I wouldn't put anything up that they weren't 100% happy with, that they hadn't seen and approved. So,
and that just speaks to, back to representation, right? Having a woman who is in charge. There's so often times where we have to have these roles and there is a man telling you how to be in the scene, when men don't know how it feels to be pregnant, to be intimate and show your body in whatever which way. So it may be really difficult, to always have a male director. And, I'm sure you can speak to that in your past of how challenging that was kind of when you first started. Men don't fully understand how our bodies work and things of that nature.
While I've worked with some amazing male directors, you're right, they still don't really understand what it is to be a woman. And so many of our stories have been told through the male perspective, through the male gaze. So as a woman, to be able to tell a story from my point of view, and as a Black woman from a Black female point of view, I felt really excited by being given the opportunity to do that. And I hope as Black women, we get to do that more and more.
And I love the fact that we were watching a Black woman in the UFC, right? Because I think so often there's so many different sports that we conquer, and sometimes you don't see us in boxing and kickboxing and MMA. And so, why was it so important for you to showcase that in this film? A Black woman that grew up in that neighborhood, that had the challenge of being a mother and trying to balance her career.
Yeah, I think, we struggle with that a lot as women, trying to be breadwinners of our family, and more women are asked to be the breadwinners of their family, and we're required to work. And it's often a struggle for us. There's a lot of guilt, that we suffer from, trying to know how much work is enough work, how much time do we spend with our family, trying to stretch ourselves really thin. I know I've struggled with that, in my life, trying to be a working mom. So I thought that was really important. That's an element that makes this film very female, because that was at the center of the film. And I can't remember a time where I saw a movie directed by a man where that was the center quite the way it is in this film.
Yes. And even when her son came back into her life, not having been a mother that whole time, it was so crazy to see her, just that natural instinct kick in. And so it speaks to even women who may not feel like they're prepared for motherhood. I know we've had conversations in the past where I asked you advice about being a working mom or being in the industry, and you're just like, when it's time, you'll be ready. You'll get ready because you have to be ready.
Yeah.
And
and we always do, you know, it's like it's in our nature to be mothers. Right. And we are not perfect. We're all going to make mistakes, you know, but that's also part of it. It's all a part of the process.
Yes. So let me ask you, you know, Tyler Perry had made a comment in his speech a few years ago, and actually you made a similar comment recently in your L Woman in Hollywood speech about reaching back and why it's important to reach back and help someone else cross. Is there anyone in your career that has helped you cross and reached back to pull you up and just to encourage you? Like, who's your Halle Berry? Who's your, you know, role model?
Diane Carroll was a huge one. I considered her reaching back. She mentored me, you know, in this life. She was someone that I admired, that I looked to as a young girl, that I actually got to meet. So was Dorothy Dandridge, but I never got to meet Dorothy, but I did Diane Carroll. Oprah Winfrey has been that for me over the years, just a beacon of light and someone that I could aspire to be like. I saw Oprah was one of the first women of color that, you know, reached such a level of success that, you know, I didn't know was really possible for us as Black women. Right. So there's, you know, that my fifth grade teacher, Yvonne Sims, another Black woman that, you know, I've aspired to be like. She's one of the best mothers I know. She's a working mom and she does it all so beautifully.
That's awesome. Well, what's next for you? So you've checked off my directorial debut, my fitness brands. What's next for you?
You know, I just want to keep challenging myself and find things that inspire me, that continue to keep me connected to this craft, that allow me to grow, learn new things, explore different parts of my personality through the work, you know, explore different parts of my talents, push myself. Yeah. That's what I want to keep doing. And I want to keep doing things authentically and on my own terms, and realizing that I never have to compromise, I never have to settle, but that I can actually do whatever it is, you know, I want to do, that I'm capable, and it actually is possible.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and thank you so much for stepping in the green room with EmeraldMarie, and forever grateful for you, and not just that moment, but for what you've continued to do and advocate for Black women in press. And you're just a role model to us all. Thank you, Halle Berry.
Oh, thank you. And I love your hair like that. Keep it.
Thank you. You know, it's giving the boomerang, you know what I'm saying?
Keep it. It's good.
I love it. It's so liberating cutting my hair. I love it.
I know.
Thank you.
Okay, good to see you, honey.
Nice to see you too.